Welcome back, viewers. You're watching WION The World is One. This is World DNA, the show that gets you ahead of the rest. I'm Shivan Jodhna.
And I'm Jyotsna Kumar. And on the show today, details have been released by Australian authorities on the two gunmen who were involved in the Bondi Beach shooting. They have been identified as a father and son pair by the Australian police. There are now 16 people confirmed to be killed, with 42 that have been injured in this deadly Sydney terrorist attack. We'll get you all the details on the show, on the story.
Also on World DNA, in a major shift of stance for the Ukrainians, Volodymyr Zelensky has offered to drop Kiev's aspirations to join NATO. And this happened after 5 hours of talks with US envoys in Berlin. We'll bring you the latest on that front as well. Let's start with the headlines.
A terrorist attack at Sydney's Bondi Beach leaves at least 16 people dead and more than 40 injured. Two gunmen opened fire at Jewish people who gathered at the beach for Hanukkah celebrations.
Australian police says the alleged gunmen behind the attack at Bondi Beach are father and son. The father was killed at the scene while his son is in critical condition in the hospital.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese declines to directly respond to Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu, blaming him for ignoring warnings about attacks on the Jewish community.
Ukrainian President Zelensky offers to drop Ukraine's aspirations to join NATO in exchange for Western security guarantees as he holds talks with US envoys in Berlin.
Jimmy Lai, the Hong Kong media mogul and China critic, arrives at a courthouse in Hong Kong ahead of a verdict in his years-long trial on national security charges.
Air pollution in New Delhi hits a new high for this season, with the AQI reaching the maximum possible reading of 500 at several stations on Monday morning. Schools have been shifted to hybrid mode as part of stage 4 of the GRAP rules.
China's Vanke's bondholders rejected the firm's payment extension request, reviving the property crisis concerns. The real estate developer's failure to secure the approval has raised the risk of a default on payments.
And the anti-Semitic fire.
An act of evil anti-Semitism.
Now, two gunmen involved in the Bondi Beach shooting have been identified as a father-son pair.
This is according to local media reports. Authorities have also confirmed it. They had told their family they were going on a South Coast fishing trip. During a press briefing, police said they were confident that the two individuals were the only people involved in Sunday's incident and that they were not searching for a third suspect. They described the incident, which resulted in the deaths of 16 people, including a child, as an anti-Semitic terrorist attack carried out at a Jewish festival.
I can say that we are not looking for a further offender. We are satisfied that there were 2 offenders involved in yesterday's incident. One is deceased, the second is in critical but stable condition in hospital at the moment. The offenders are a 50-year-old and 24-year-old male who are father and son.
Now, one of the gunmen has been named by local media, and according to Australian public broadcaster ABC, the alleged assailant was Naveed Akram from the Sydney suburb of Bondi Beach.
Officers raided 2 properties in Sydney, reportedly the homes of these 2 gunmen. Visuals show police still present at the properties.
We saw lots of police cars raided this street, and especially in that house. Yeah, so we couldn't sleep. We were watching everything. Yeah, it was so scary.
Australia's Jewish diaspora is small but deeply embedded in the wider community, with about 150,000 people who identify as Jewish in the country of 27 million. About 1/3 of them are estimated to live in Sydney's eastern suburbs, including Bondi.
Around 1,000 people had attended the Hanukkah event. A new eyewitness video has emerged, and the footage shows people celebrating on the beach moments before the chaos erupted, and they fled as gunmen opened fire. Witnesses said the shooting at the famed beach, the iconic Bondi Beach, which was packed on a hot evening, lasted about 10 minutes, sending hundreds of people scattering along the sand and into nearby streets and parks. Community co-chief said that they wanted to kill as many Jews as possible.
People came to kill Jewish children and women and the elderly, and they knew that here they would have, in a relatively small area, hundreds and hundreds of people, like fish in a barrel. And that's what they wanted. They wanted to kill as many Jewish people as possible simply because they were Jewish, for the crime of being Jewish.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese called the attack an act of pure evil as he laid flowers at the entrance to the Bondi Pavilion on the beach. He said his country is mourning the dead by flying flags at half-mast on Monday.
What we saw yesterday was an act of pure evil, an act of anti-Semitism, an act of terrorism on our shores in an iconic Australian location, Bondi Beach, that is associated with joy, associated with families gathering, associated with celebrations, and it is forever tarnished by what has occurred last evening.
All right, to discuss this further, we're now being joined live by Dr. John Coyne from Canberra. Dr. Coyne is the Director of the National Security Programme at the Australian Strategic Policy Institute and Counter-Terrorism. He's a counter-terrorism expert, that is. Dr. Coyne, thanks so much for joining us here. Our condolences to all those who have suffered yesterday in Australia. Those visuals were shocking for everyone to see, and from what we've gathered from the authorities, it was a father-son duo. But from your understanding and in your appreciation, I wanted to understand what is next for Australia's security apparatus to ensure that something of this scale never happens again.
Look, thank you very much for having me. As you'll appreciate, whether you're in India or whether you're in Australia, terrorist attacks against innocent people are an attack on all of us. They're an attack on our democracies and our countries. Australia has been very, very fortunate. Over the last 25 years during the global war on terror, our agencies, be they policing or intelligence, are the envy of the world in terms of disrupting attacks. While we've had some tragedies, they are few and far between. This most certainly is the worst mass shooter attack in over 3 decades in Australia. There will be a lot of questions around how these individuals maintained access to firearms. There'll be lots of questions in regards to what intelligence was known. But it is way too early to be announcing any new policy initiatives. Needless to say, this is clear evidence that hate speech in any description is unacceptable in modern countries.
Also, Dr. Coyne, we know about like American gun laws, but it's difficult to understand what kind of gun laws do we have in Australia. We know that this person, of course, had more guns, but what kind of laws or gun control laws do we have in Australia? If you could just tell us about it.
Look, a fantastic question. We in Australia have some of the strongest gun laws in the world. Those gun laws were developed in 1996 under the John Howard government after a particularly harrowing and certainly our worst spree killing in the history of Australia, where over 30 people were killed. Those controls, both with licensing, denying access to fully automatic weapons, have been in place for 3 decades and have prevented these sorts of attacks in the past. So what we see here is an attack that is unusual by Australian standards and that gun laws should have stopped.
Dr. Coyne, I just wanted to take it a little further from where Jyotsna left it. With 6 firearms, licensed firearms, what limits are permissible for any individual to be holding firearms? How many firearms can one individual hold, and what's the purpose usually for buying firearms in Australia?
There's no set number of firearms. You can obtain a firearms license for 4 basic purposes. The first one is as a collector of firearms. So this is where you're collecting historical pieces. The second relates to sporting. So here in shooting competitions like long-range disciplines and skeet shooting and those sorts of things. The third is recreational hunting, where there is a tradition of hunting in Australia. And the fourth is for primary producers. So there's no real number, like absolute limit to how many firearms you can own. But certainly you have to be able to provide to police reasons for why you have that number of firearms.
Right. Dr. Coyne, also I would like to ask you that, we know that Germany was just recently able to stop a major attack on a Christmas market. And we also know that this is happening when the Gaza ceasefire seems to be, in place, but we see some attacks going on. Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu has now blamed for ignoring warnings about these attacks on Jewish community. Do you think there was some kind of security lapse knowing that this kind of thing is happening in other nations such as Germany?
Look, no, I don't think there was. I think that the real issue here was one of the difference between, in liberal democracies, freedom of speech and hate speech. And there's certainly been cases, certainly over the last 12 to 18 months, where people are claiming that they're expressing their freedom of speech, they're expressing their democratic rights to protest, but in doing so, they are sharing hate speech. And certainly some of the reactions on social media, which is at the heart of normalising this sort of hateful thinking. This is not an issue between Arabs and Jews or between Muslims and Jews. This is a terrible, horrendous attack by cowards. This isn't an issue that's as a result of the Israeli government. This is an issue that is the result of people who undertake a cowardly attack to intimidate, to scare and to murder innocent people.
Dr. Coyne, those scenes that we all saw world over coming in from Bondi Beach last evening were extremely distressing. One can only imagine what's going on for the families who were there. Our condolences once again. Thank you so much for joining us here on World DNA.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Well, Australia is grappling with shock and grief after the deadliest attack the country has seen in years.
A Hanukkah celebration at Sydney's Bondi Beach meant to mark a moment of joy and faith for Jewish people. It turned into a scene of terror and bloodshed.
As gunfire rang out, one unarmed man stood out, Footages show 43-year-old Ahmed, a fruit seller, charging a gunman from behind, wrestling away his rifle and pinning him to the ground. It was a split-second act of courage that may have saved countless lives. Wounded by 2 bullets, he is now being hailed as a national hero. One thing to note is that the man had no experience with guns.
One can only imagine the countless number of lives he would have saved due to his act of bravery. Now, as Australia is left mourning, they are holding on to the bravery of one man who ran towards danger, putting his own life on the line. And even the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, has mentioned on more occasions than one, calling the courageous man a hero and condemned the attack, calling it a strike at the heart of the nation.
We are also thinking of everyone being treated for their injuries, and many of whom are alive right now because of the courage and quick action of the New South Wales Police and the first responders who rushed to their aid, as well as the courage of everyday Australians who, without hesitating, put themselves in danger in order to keep their fellow Australians safe.
At least 16 people have died in what police have declared a terrorist attack targeting the Jewish community. At least 40 others, including a child, were rushed to hospital. Authorities say the 2 suspects were involved. One is dead. The other remains in critical condition.
And next, let's listen in to some of the eyewitnesses who were present at the site when the incident took place.
I've seen a brain on the ground, like a brain. You take a brain, you put it on the ground. It was like that, and it was like a grandma. She was bleeding a lot, and then like a lot of people, they've been crying. Some people, they became white as well.
And I went over that sort of fence where the car parked, and then the shooting starts, and everyone is running down. And 2 police officers lying down on the ground next to me. I think I fall down, and the blood was coming from my hand.
So I ran onto the beach. I guess everyone ran onto the beach. It was pretty terrifying, and yeah, I eventually went back to see what was happening. A few people helped. We sort of helped a few old people get up and get out of there, but it was like there were lots of bodies on the floor. It was a fenced-in event, so it's kind of like I don't know, fish in a barrel. Like the guy had I think of what I've been told, he had an automatic rifle, big gun, standing on the bridge, and just target practice.
Shifting focus to the US, where another mass shooting took place. Just recently, US authorities have detained a person of interest in the mass shooting at Brown University.
Now, the shooting on Saturday afternoon left 2 people dead and 9 others wounded. A shooter opened fire in a building where exams were taking place. The university sent an emergency alert at about 4:22 p.m. local time on Saturday, reporting an active shooter near the engineering and physics department. The message said, and I'm quoting, "Lock doors, silence phones, and stay hidden until further notice." Law enforcement and first responders swarmed the scene.
I was just trying to find out.
Okay. Well, thank you.
CCTV footage released by the Providence Police Department shows the suspect seen from behind walking briskly down a deserted street after opening fire inside a first-floor classroom.
Another dramatic footage showed students hunkered down in a room before police arrived to escort them out of the building. The shooting on Saturday afternoon set off hours of chaos across the Ivy League campus and surrounding neighborhoods. Students and staff were asked to shelter in place as the hunt for the suspect went on.
stay easy. Just keep your hands up for us. Obviously, there's something going on. We're here to help you. Just listen to what we have to say, okay? All right, breathe. Anybody hurt? No? All right, just listen to our commands. We will get you out of here safely. Is this it? Is this the group?
Guys, if you have your bags, your phones, go grab it now. Quickly.
Go, quick, go.
In orderly, fast. Let's go.
Let's go.
Good job.
The search ended at a hotel about 20 miles away where a person of interest was taken into custody. Police have not revealed much about the investigation so far, but said that the person in custody was in their 20s and that no one has been charged yet.
And Brown University president confirmed in a letter to community members that all 11 victims were students. Of the 9 wounded, 1 was in critical condition, 7 were in stable condition, and 1 was discharged. It is yet to be established how the shooter entered the university campus, which is one of the most heavily monitored in the U.S. Brown is on College Hill in Providence, Rhode Island's state capital.
Rhode Island residents and students gathered to mourn the victims. Flowers and candles were laid on the campus memorials. The school has cancelled exams and classes for the rest of the year, and the campus was quiet on Sunday as a light snowfall blanketed the city. Shifting focus now to the Russia-Ukraine front. In a major shift of stance, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has offered to drop the country's aspirations to join NATO.
And this is after 5 hours of a conversation with Trump's team in Berlin. The first round of peace talks concluded on Sunday and are set to continue on Monday, along with other European leaders. Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff released a readout of the talks and said that they made a lot of progress as he and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner met Zelensky. The full details were not divulged. The negotiations were hosted by German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, who, according to reports, made brief remarks before leaving the two sides to negotiate.
Now, according to Reuters, Zelensky spoke to reporters and this was via a WhatsApp chat, and said that it was Ukraine's desire to join NATO from the very beginning, and added that these would have been the real security guarantees they were looking for. He further added that some partners from the US and Europe did not support in this direction.
Now, bilateral security guarantees between Ukraine and the U.S. Article 5-like guarantees for Ukraine from the U.S. and security guarantees from European colleagues, as well as other countries like Canada, Japan, are an opportunity now to prevent another Russian invasion.
A Ukrainian presidential advisor said that the discussions between Ukrainian and U.S. officials for a settlement of war in Ukraine lasted more than 5 hours. He said that Zelensky would comment on the talks on Monday once they are completed. He also said that Ukrainian officials were considering the draft documents as of Sunday evening. Neither the Ukrainian nor American side gave any press statements following these talks.
Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron also spoke to Zelensky on Sunday and said that Americans, Europeans, and Ukrainians only seek peace. He said that Ukraine stands strong as Russia continues its war of aggression. Macron thanked the negotiators and said that France will remain at Ukraine's side to build a robust and lasting peace that can guarantee Ukraine's security and sovereignty.
Amidst the ongoing talks, Kiev residents expressed skepticism on Sunday about the ability of Western allies to provide strong security guarantees to Ukraine. The move marks a major shift for Ukraine as a safeguard against Russian attacks, since such an aspiration has been included in its constitution.
Whether we join or not join NATO, I think nothing will change, because we are already defending ourselves with our own forces, even without NATO. And when NATO itself was attacked, they did nothing. So I thank God that we are a large and strong country.
The peace talks in Berlin are being held under tight security in the Chancellery, where German leader Friedrich Merz is due to host a dinner with Zelensky, NATO chiefs, and a group of European leaders. Now, key questions remain on Ukraine and territorial concessions, future security guarantees for Kiev, and whether Moscow would agree to any proposal hammered out by the Europeans and Americans.
The US president has pushed for an end to the almost 4-year-old war, but Kiev and its allies in Europe are at odds to prevent any settlement that would strongly favor Russia.
Now, the U.S. under President Donald Trump is heading to midterm elections in 2026.
It will be the first referendum on his second presidency, but besides that, control of the U.S. House of Representatives will also be on the line. According to a report by Wall Street Journal, the MAGA boss is not sure about victory in the 2026 midterms. In an interview with the Journal, Trump said, I quote him here, "We will see what happens. We should win, but statistically, it's very tough to win."
Now, the statement comes after Democrats secured big wins in Virginia, New Jersey, and New York City. According to experts, affordability and inflation are the key factors that are driving voters towards the blue camp. Now, Republican Party is also taking the cue.
Trump is also battling a popularity crisis. His approval ratings have gone down since he took office in January. According to the latest poll by Reuters Ipsos, Trump's approval ratings stand at 41%, and this is 6% lower than what it was at the time of the inauguration. If we go by history, incumbent presidents have very low chances of winning the midterm elections.
And in the post-World War II era, Bill Clinton and George W. Bush are the only U.S. presidents who managed to expand seats in the House in midterm election. And well, it's time now for a very short break on World DNA.
Don't go anywhere. We will be back on the other side. Air pollution in Delhi hits new highs for this season, with the AQI reaching the maximum possible reading at several stations on Monday morning. We'll bring you the details.
Also on the other side on World DNA, Chinese demand for foreign luxury cars is weakening as buyers turn away from big-ticket purchases amid a slowing economy. We'll get you all the details on that story as well. Don't go anywhere. Keep watching Beyond World is One.
India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes, and millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
Welcome back. You're watching Beyond World is One. I'm Shivan Janna with Jyotsna. This is World DNA. Let's start with the headlines.
A terrorist attack at Sydney's Bondi Beach leaves at least 16 people dead and more than 40 injured. Two gunmen opened fire at Jewish people who had gathered at the beach for Hanukkah celebrations.
Two gunmen involved in the terrorist attack are father and son. They had told their family they were going on a south coast fishing trip. The father was killed at the scene while the son is in critical condition.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese declines to directly respond to Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu, blaming him for ignoring warnings about attacks on the Jewish community.
Ukrainian president offers to drop Ukraine's aspirations to join NATO in exchange for Western security guarantees as he holds talks with US envoys in Berlin.
Jimmy Lai, the Hong Kong media mogul and China critic, arrives at a courthouse in Hong Kong ahead of a verdict in his years-long trial on national security charges.
Air pollution in New Delhi hits a new high for this season, with the AQI reaching the maximum possible reading of 500 at several stations on Monday morning. Schools shift to hybrid mode as part of stage 4 of the GRAP to combat pollution.
China's Vanke bondholders rejected the firm's payment extension request, reviving the property crisis concerns. The real estate developer's failure to secure the approval has raised the risk of a default on payments.
US to begin mandatory social media screening for all H-1B and H-4 visa applicants from Monday, expanding online vetting to include public profile reviews and potentially delaying consular interviews worldwide.
And well, Delhi air pollution remains at worrying levels.
The average air quality index on Monday morning was recorded at 457 in the severe levels, but Central Pollution Control Board CPCB data showed several monitoring stations at 500, and that is the highest possible recording for these monitors. The AQI had climbed to 461 on Sunday and marked the city's most polluted day this winter and the second worst December air quality day on record. Now, according to the Central Pollution Control Board, the air quality in Wazirpur, Ashok Vihar, Jahangirpuri and Rohini, it remained at 500 on Monday morning, while several other stations reported AQIs over 450 or nearing 500 as a thick haze was reported in several areas.
Now, the Commission for Air Quality Management has invoked Stage 4, the highest level of the Graded Response Action Plan for Delhi and its surrounding areas, on Saturday evening. And this includes a ban on all construction and demolition activities, a ban on entry of trucks carrying non-essential items, a ban on plying of diesel, heavy goods vehicle, and schools shifting to a hybrid mode for classes.
Apart from the pollution, the drop in temperature is also causing problems. The Indigo and SpiceJet airlines cautioned passengers of possible flight delays at Delhi airport on Monday as the season's first spell of winter fog reduced visibility.
The India Met Department has also issued cold wave and dense fog warnings for several states in northern India, along with snowfall alerts for parts of the northeastern region and the western Himalayan areas.
China's grip on Hong Kong has tightened. The city's last major pro-democracy political party has disbanded itself.
It is called the Democratic Party. The party's top officials voted overwhelmingly in support of its dissolution. The decision was taken at the Hong Kong Democratic Party's general body meeting. The vote to disband comes after a Patriots-only Legislative Council election and before the conviction of Jimmy Lai. Lai is a founder of the pro-democracy newspaper Apple Daily. He is facing conviction in a national security trial.
To our fellow Hong Kongers, today the Democratic Party held an extraordinary general meeting at which our members formally voted to dissolve the party and enter liquidation. We are deeply grateful to the citizens who have walked alongside the Democratic Party over the past 30 years.
After mass pro-democracy protests in 2019, China enacted sweeping national security laws in Hong Kong. Then in 2021, China overhauled Hong Kong's electoral system. Under the new arrangement, only vetted political parties are allowed to hold public offices. The move removed Hong Kong's Democratic Party from the ballot altogether.
The Democratic Party has been Hong Kong's main opposition since its founding. The party used to be a major electoral force in Hong Kong, but since the territories returned to Chinese rule in 1997, it has been losing its footing.
The activities of the Democratic Party have been under the scanner for a long time. According to China's one country, two systems policy, Hong Kong enjoys a certain degree of autonomy, but the ground reality is different. Over the years, Beijing has used national security laws to shut media outlets, arrest political opponents, and disband civil society groups.
Hong Kong was previously a British colony. The British returned the territory to Chinese hands in 1997 during Deng Xiaoping's rule. Since then, Beijing has been intensifying its integration of Hong Kong. And far-right candidate Jose Antonio Cast has secured a thumping victory in Chile's presidential runoff.
And this marks the sharpest rightward shift since the end of dictatorship in 1990. Having won the presidential elections on his third attempt, Cast secured 58.3% of the vote in a runoff against leftist candidate Jeanette Jara, who secured 41.7% votes.
Jose Antonio Cast campaigned on promises to crack down on illegal immigrants, close the northern border, restart a stalled economy, and tackle high rates of violent crime. After a landslide election victory over his leftist rival, the president-elect addressed his supporters in Santiago, pledging to restore respect for the law.
We're going to restore the law. We're going to restore the respect for the law in all regions.
Cast is set to take office on 11th of March 2026 and will become the first president to openly support the military regime since 1990. His victory follows years of left-of-center rule and is expected to reshape Chile's political landscape.
Handout from Chile's presidency shows President Gabriel Boric call President-elect Jose Antonio Cast from La Moneda Palace after his win in the presidential election. Listen to this.
I remember when you greeted me that day 4 years ago, and today I congratulate you because you've got a clear triumph and you've been elected President of the Republic and therefore of all Chileans. And you know this is a big responsibility.
In Santiago, supporters of the arch-conservative candidate gathered to celebrate his win against Jeanette Jara.
We fully trust that caste will be the person to regularize migration. Let the migrants come to the country, let them come, but regularized as it should be.
I'm very happy that caste won, because the alternation of power is the key to renewing politics, to renewing institutions, and to allowing the most qualified people to come in. If a government didn't do a good job, it's good to change and alternate the people who are working in government.
Now, conceding defeat to right-wing presidential candidate Jose Antonio Cas, Janet Jara addressed her supporters in Santiago, saying democracy spoke loud and clear.
We clearly said that the Chileans' gains can't be put at risk. The rise in pensions, free higher education, the 40 hours of work, the zero copay, women's rights, the freedom to love and decide. All these must be taken care of.
40 horas.
Since seen by many Chileans as too extreme, caste has garnered support from voters increasingly worried about crime and immigration. His anti-immigration plan, which opponents call unrealistic, involves inviting undocumented migrants to leave. He has also touted massive cuts in public spending. Caste has pledged that within 18 months he will reduce public spending by $6 billion.
Now, Caste's victory marks the latest win for a resurgent right-wing in Latin America. He joins Ecuador's Daniel Noboa, El Salvador's Nayib Bukele, and Argentina's Javier Milei.
The Chinese demand for foreign luxury cars is weakening as buyers turn away from big-ticket purchases amid a slowing economy.
A prolonged property downturn has dented household wealth and consumer confidence, reducing appetite for premium brands traditionally priced above 300,000 yuan. Analysts say even wealthy buyers are becoming cautious, with public displays of wealth falling out of favor.
As a result, the premium car segment, which expanded rapidly until 2023, is now showing clear signs of contraction in the world's largest auto market. The slowdown has coincided with a strong push by Chinese automakers, especially in electric and plug-in hybrid vehicles.
Now, government trade-in subsidies of up to 20,000 yuan have encouraged buyers to opt for cheaper entry-level models where discounts make a bigger difference, vehicles that are mostly Chinese-made.
Domestic brands such as BYD are also rolling out new models faster and cutting prices aggressively, including in the premium segment. As a result, Chinese brands now account for nearly 70% of passenger car sales, steadily displacing European, Japanese and US automakers.
Now, the shift is hitting foreign luxury car makers hard. Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Porsche, Ferrari and Aston Martin have all reported sharp declines in China sales this year, with some posting double-digit drops.
The pressure is also visible in the second-hand market, where luxury cars are selling at steep discounts as demand cools. Industry executives warn that intense competition and weak sentiment are unlikely to ease soon, suggesting that foreign luxury brands face a prolonged challenge in adapting to China's rapidly changing auto market.
And Nepal is still counting the heavy cost of the violent youth-led unrest that toppled its government in September.
With GDP forecasts slashed and poverty rising, the nation now faces the deepening crisis just 3 months before national elections. More in this next report. Take a look.
Nepal is still reeling 3 months after youth-led protests toppled the government in September. The unrest left 76 people dead and more than 2,700 buildings damaged or torched, including parliament and major businesses.
Nobody has been said directly that we are not coming or not investing, but psychologically they are disturbed. And even national entrepreneurs are not, they are in the position of wait and see.
A preliminary industry assessment pegs the total economic loss at over $278 million, with nearly 15,000 people losing their jobs. The fallout has pushed several companies into shutdowns and left thousands of families without income. The economic hit has been severe. Foreign investment commitments have collapsed by 91% since mid-August. The World Bank now expects Nepal's GDP growth to plunge to 2.1% in 2025, less than half its earlier projection. Poverty is also expected to rise to 6.6% this year. Even before the unrest, Nepal's job market was fragile, with 82% of workers in informal employment. Economists warn that at best, only half the country's economy is running at normal capacity.
At least 1/4 of our GDP has gone. One thing is missing, that people are missing, that due to Gen Z protest, 10 days, the economy was zero. Still now, only 50% is running.
Tourism, one of Nepal's key economic pillars, also slumped. Visitors' arrivals fell 18% in September, with losses in Pokhara alone estimated at over $20 million. Hotel occupancy in the city plunged by more than 90%. Remittances briefly provided relief, hitting a record $1.4 billion in a single month. But they have not offset the scale of domestic disruption. With elections just 3 months away, thousands remain struck between rising living costs and disappearing work, unsure of what comes next. This is Bureau Report. WION World is One.
And in artificial intelligence, apps and constant updates are commonplace, but one old school device is refusing to give up its crown.
And we'll look at why the humble calculator continues to thrive in an AI-dominated world. Take a look at this report to know more.
The humble calculator. From addition and subtraction to square roots and percentages, calculators were reliable, unflinching, and hardly ever made a mistake unless you press the wrong button. That might have something to do with why these devices refuse to become obsolete. Even in an era of artificial intelligence, where machines can solve complex equations, write essays, and even compose music. Japan's Casio has always been synonymous with calculators. It continues to sell millions of calculators every year, and apparently is still expanding to new markets. The secret to calculators' undying appeal has to do with ironclad accuracy. Unlike AI, they don't hallucinate and give an accurate answer every time. In Bangkok's Chinatown, vendor Thitinan Suntisapul swears by her trusty calculator. It makes transactions simple and clear for her, even across language barriers.
One benefit of a calculator is that we can use it to press the numbers and show the customer. For example, if they are a foreigner who doesn't understand the language, or maybe doesn't speak English at all, or perhaps speaks French or some very uncommon language.
Calculators may not have internet connectivity or chat features, but they're optimized to do one thing: calculate quickly and reliably. The simple button press, some would argue, is easier and more convenient than switching to an app or AI tool. In many parts of the world, smartphones aren't everywhere, but calculators are. And their durability means they can handle daily use without crashes, recharges, or software updates.
I think the usage of a calculator might be more convenient. The ease of pressing the buttons for calculation is simpler and more convenient.
Calculators have something else going for them. They are tactile devices. You physically press a button for a number. The ease and speed of doing that, as opposed to composing a prompt in your head, is unmatched. Generative AI might be great, but devices that fulfill singular, focused tasks with zero quarter for error aren't going out of fashion yet. The calculator isn't going anywhere.
footballing legend Lionel Messi is in India. The Argentine superstar's GOAT India tour reached the city of dreams, Mumbai.
Well, the city is also home to India's cricketing legend Sachin Tendulkar, and the moment was iconic. The superstars of their respective sports, they shook hands in Wankhede Stadium. The two World Cup winners were on the same pitch where India became cricket world champions in 2011.
Sachin Tendulkar and Lionel Messi don't just share the honor of being world champions, they also share a connection with the number 10. Both donned the number 10 jersey during their careers, so Tendulkar presented the Argentine star with his iconic number 10 ODI jersey.
Messi, on the other hand, presented a World Cup football to Tendulkar. Speaking at the event, Tendulkar showered praises for all three visitors: Messi, Argentine midfielder Rodrigo de Paul, and former Barcelona star Luis Suarez.
As part of his GOAT India tour, Messi has already traveled to Kolkata, Hyderabad and Mumbai, and the last stop for the footballing legend will be India's capital, Delhi, where he will conclude the tour on 15th of December. And Santa is testing his takeoff over Switzerland, high above Lake Geneva.
A flying sleigh lights up the night sky high above that lake, turning Christmas markets into a winter spectacle. From Montreux to Geneva, festive stalls, warm wine and global visitors, they are gathering. Take a look. The worldwide box office for 2025 has been dramatically shaped by a few major animated titles.
Now, Disney's Zootopia 2 has become the latest animated release to earn over $1.13 billion globally.
Well, the mark was achieved within just 17 days for a PG-rated film. This massive success places it second overall to the behemoth Chinese animated blockbuster Ne Zha 2, which has achieved an unprecedented worldwide gross.
The Chinese animated movie has reportedly crossed $2.2 billion mark. It is one of the animated movies of 2025 which dominated the global market with an almost entirely domestic take.
Behind Zootopia 2, the other major Hollywood film to touch the billion-dollar milestone is Disney's live-action and CGI remake of Lilo and Stitch, which finished its run at the theaters with approximately $1.03 billion.
Now, earlier this year, Moana 2, which is originally a 2024 release, also touched the coveted billion-dollar mark in the early days of January.
This year, the Japanese anime Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, It became a massive box office hit after surpassing $787 million worldwide. It became the highest grossing Japanese film globally and a top 2025 release, breaking records in North America as the #1 international film ever and achieving over 100 billion yen in Japan.
Maavta Narsima, the high-budgeted animated film from India, also became a massive box office hit. This year, it became the first Indian animated movie to earn $37 to $38 million worldwide. Now, the success of these series of animated films showcases the broadening international appeal and diversity of the animation genre, making the overall global theatrical market increasingly reliant on these massive animated franchises.
Be on the same page every day. Let's go. We got this. Here's the fuzz! Toot toot. Everybody run!
Well, can't win them all.
Come on, get on up.
Let me ask you something. Do you think we're a good team?
And with that, we call a wrap to World Dinner for today. And before we wrap up, here's a look at all the climate stories that have been making headlines across the world.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Prime is your front row seat to darkness.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
We begin this bulletin with some breaking news. Hong Kong pro-democracy media mogul Jimmy Lai has been found guilty in his trial related to national security charges. He was found guilty on 2 charges of foreign collusion and 1 charge of seditious publication, the high-profile case that has drawn condemnation from Western countries. Pronouncing the verdict, a High Court judge said that there is no doubt in our minds that Lai had never wavered in his intention to destabilize the government, adding that the ultimate cost was to sacrifice the interests of the people of China and Hong Kong. The 78-year-old Lai has pleaded not guilty to these charges. Lai stands accused of using the Apple Daily as a platform to conspire with 6